Hey friend, thanks for stopping by and checking out this video. I'm Piano Man Steve. I am the founder of the Piano Man Approach online piano course and pianomanapproach.com. And thank you for tuning in. This is a little series I call Free Lesson Friday. Although for those of you who watch it the first day that it drops every week, yes, I'm aware it's going out on a Tuesday this particular week. I apologize. It's been a crazy month, and I've had to do my free lesson Fridays on some other days, but most of you will be seeing this long after it's been uploaded. So anyway, today's a song demonstration, and we're going to be looking at Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley, the king of rock. And this is a song that's just one of those like go-to standards now in the old American songbook. And so we're gonna base it off of Elvis's original recording and look at some other things that you can do with it. Song demonstrations are not note for note tutorials. What we're going to be doing is showing you how to approach learning the song quickly and to use the elements that I teach, chords, rhythm patterns, and improv, simple improv that are based on chords. How you can, many ways that you can go about playing the song and have a little bit of fun with it and show your artistry off. So really quick before we get started with the actual demo, if you enjoy this kind of content and it brings some value to your life, I'd sure appreciate it if you would give this video a like and subscribe to my channel and share it with people that you think might like it and leave comments, what you'd like me to teach in the future, all that good stuff. It really does help me beat the algorithm. So, but now that I've got that out of the way, let's dive in here. So, as I say, this is kind of one of the go-to classics in the American songbook now. And what we're going to be basing this off of is my sort of magic formula for learning songs, which I call the GLIDE formula. GLIDE is an acronym. Each letter of the word stands for a different concept that kind of helps you, as I say, glide through learning any song that you want. So let me bring the GLIDE formula up on the screen here really quick, and we'll go through the steps, and then we'll apply each step to the song. So, as you can see, step number one is G, get the chords. The chords are usually available somewhere online. Sometimes you can find them for free. Sometimes the free sources are a little sketchy. They don't always get them right, but sometimes they do, so you can just do a Google search. Or you might have to pay for them somewhere, like ultimateguitartabs.com usually has them. You might find them at Hal Leonard. You might find them in a variety of different places and apps, but you got to get your hands on the chords and the lyrics. Step two is you have to listen to the song. So that's pretty easy to do. You can usually find it on YouTube or certainly Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music or Pandora or any of many different places that you can access this kind of stuff anymore. Step number three is identify the feel. That's where we find the rhythm pattern that is going to work best for the song. And we look for a basic rhythm pattern first, or kind of what I call one of my 4 essential feels. And then once we kind of have that in place, we go to step 4, which is D, drill it down. And that's just getting the song under your fingers in a very rudimentary, easy way to play it. And once you have it drilled down and you're not, using a lot of brain power to figure out how to get from one chord to the next and all that kind of stuff, then 5, you E, enhance it with improv and signatures. And so that's the process that we're going to be running this song through. So let me bring the teaching screen back up and let's actually dive into the song. Okay, so obviously get the chords and listen to the song. We can't listen to the song on this video because it could be a potential copyright violation, but I'm going to assume that you have found the chords and are listening to the song, or that you're going to do that right after we complete this song demo. So we're going to just assume that step 1 and step 2 have been done. And step 3, identify the feel. So if you were listening to it, it probably sounded something like this. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Something like that, okay? I have put the lyrics and the chords and the description down below in this YouTube video to make it a little easier for you to get your hands on them. So you don't have to look any farther than that to get the chords and the lyrics to this song, but you should look into those other resources for other songs that you might want to apply this formula to and that you're interested in learning. So be aware of them, but I did put them down there. Just scroll down below my links and such, and you'll see it. So when you have a listen, we have to identify the feel. And so we have four essential feels that you can run in one of two different ways. You can do it in what we call a duplet form, and you can do it in a triplet form. A duplet is when you're subdividing those quarter notes into two, meaning if you have your quarter note beat at 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Then duplets would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? When you subdivide it in triplets, you're subdividing it into three parts, each quarter note. So you're getting the same tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay? So the reason why that matters is that it changes the calculus. It changes the feel, particularly, even though you're kind of doing the same thing, it changes the feel, particularly in the left hand. So let's look at some of our options. The basic feel, which I call the basic feel, is where you just play quarter notes in your left hand. Like this. We're in the key of D. Okay, so the opening chord is D. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just kind of play octave Ds. And what we do is we kind of run the chord sequence through this basic feel and see, does this work for the song? That's all we're kind of testing. Does this work for the song? And if it doesn't, then we go to a different feel and see if that's the one that works. And then that gives us a basis. So 2, 3, 4. And then what the right hand does is it plays the chord on counts 2 and count 4 just as a place to get started. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's just see how this sounds. Probably a little choppy for this song, but let's see. Wise. Then it goes to an F sharp minor. Men say. Then it goes to a B minor. Say. Only G. To me, I'm like, it's better than nothing, but that's probably not the rhythm pattern that we're looking for this particular song, right? There's something missing in it. So we're going to move on. Let's check the country feel. The country feel is kind of like that. We're going to be playing 1 on counts 1 and 3 in the left hand, just quarter notes, but we're going to be alternating between the tonic note of the chord, meaning the root of the chord, so D, and the 5 of the chord. What does that mean? The chord 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A. So we're going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on 2 and 4, we're going to play the chord in the right hand. So like this. Right? So again, probably not the right one, but let's see how it sounds, because sometimes songs are not as obvious, and you kind of have to play around with them a little bit to see which rhythm pattern works best. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Yeah, not going to be right, although this is the kind of thing, knowing different rhythm patterns is how you can create a new arrangement for the song. So if you wanted to turn it into kind of a bluegrassy kind of feel, then you could take that, increase, speed the tempo up and use the country feel and be like, wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. So if your goal is to do something different and unique with it, that might be something you could do. But since we're going to kind of try to play it similar to the Elvis record, that's probably not where we want to be either. So let's move on to what I call the syncopated feel. One of these we're going to rule out completely because there's a fourth feel that we call the waltz feel, and it's for things that are in 3 beats per measure. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This song is clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or at the very least, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So we know it's not a waltz, so we can eliminate that. So my guess is we're going to land on the syncopated feel. What's the syncopated feel? Well, it's also called the heartbeat feel. So we create a thump, 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 thump with the left hand. And then we play quarter notes in the right hand. So it's like this. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Something still feels a little off, but don't you feel like we're getting closer, right? Okay, so now what you have to check is, that was the duplet version. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, right? So we need to modify that and try the triplet version and see if this song sounds better with a triplet feel. So how do we do that? Well, so now think of it as 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And the left hand goes from being 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 to 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3. Men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. So it's still a heartbeat, but it's 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 da 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 duh, duh. That makes all the difference in the world. Now, we still don't necessarily sound exactly like Elvis's record, but now we have the left-hand foundation, which is so very important. There's a million things that you can do with your right hand to make it interesting and unique and to customize it. But once you have that left hand in place, think of your left hand as like a combination of a trap set drum, like a drum kit, right? The kick drum, the snare drum, the cymbals, all of that, and the bass guitar. That's your left hand's job when you're playing solo piano. Your left hand is the bass and the drums, the rhythm section. Your right hand then becomes guitars, piano, maybe the lead vocal if you're wanting to play the melody in the right hand instead of sing. But the point is, it's like all the other stuff, that's your right hand's job. But that foundation, that bass and the bass guitar and the drum kit, that's your left hand's job. And I can tell you, if you've never played in a band before, you cannot fix a bad foundation in a band. You just can't. Like it once you get your drummer and your bass guitar moving in the right direction for a song and they're doing their thing, then everything else can slide into place. But if you have the best guitar player in the world and you have a lousy bass player and a lousy drummer who just can't seem to figure out what to do underneath it all, it's going to sound like a train wreck, and nobody else's talent can make up for it. And that's why we go through these steps, and that's why this identify the feel step is so important, because once you get your left hand dialed into what it needs to be doing, now you have so many options, and they're all going to sound good, right? So now we're just going to drill it down. So what we want to do is go through the chord progression that I put down in the description below, in the video description. I'm going to go through the chord progression, and I'm not going to do the whole song. I'm just going to do like a verse, and then I'll do that bridge where they say, "Only do-do-do, slowly to the sea," that whole thing. And then one other verse, and just so you can see it. And you just want to play a very simple version. We're just going to play quarter note chords in the right hand, and we're going to do the triplet heartbeat in the left hand, and just kind of get the song under our hands. We just want to get the song under our hands, the chord progression. And once that's in place, now you can start thinking about how to enhance it, and your brain is not having to spend an inordinate amount of its energy with like the foundational stuff, right? It can mostly focus on the cool, the improv stuff that you want to do and the variations that you want to do with your right hand. So let's try this. So intro. To an F sharp minor, and then this is a C sharp 7 chord. To the sea, darling, don't you know some things? And it goes to a B chord. We're meant to be E minor. Okay, so now that we've kind of got that established, okay, now we can think about what we want to do with our right hand to make it a little more like the recording, or just some other options so that you don't feel like the sort of vanilla bland version is the only thing you can do. So what I hear in the recording is a lot of what we call arpeggios. So we get to the fifth, this is where we dive into step 5, E, enhance with improv and signatures. So what I'm hearing is a lot of arpeggios, which is one of my very, very favorite little variations, simple improvs. Because one of my big things that I do, as much as I possibly can, is I base my improv right off the chords that I'm playing. I know some improv scales, and I teach those too, like the blues scale and the swing scale and that kind of thing, and those are good. But there's nothing better than just knowing your way around the chord and the notes around a chord, because your hand's already on the chord. So to the extent that you can just use the chord you're playing for your improv licks and fills or your maneuvers and your different variations on your rhythm pattern, that's great, because then you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and there's so much like gold that you can mine from right where your hands are. So let me give you an example. I hear a lot of this. I hear basically something like this. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. So what am I doing, right? Well, my left hand, I've got my thump, 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 thump. And again, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 4 triplet, da, 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 right? So I'm keeping that going in the left hand. And in the right hand, I'm simply, and I did all of this in what I call root inversion, right? So my thumb was on the root of the chord, D, and then I simply played the notes of the chord, and I moved up. So full octave chord, D, F sharp, A, D, and then right back down, A, F sharp, D. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, like that. And I just played that over the top of what was going on with the left hand. Right? Sounds beautiful. And you can work your way through every chord that exact way. Now, if you're familiar with inversions of chords, then this becomes a little more fun and a little more fluid, because instead of having to move your hand around quite so much, you can be here. You can start on the root inversion of the first chord, like... goes to this F sharp minor chord, for example, perhaps instead of moving your hand to go here, you simply put your thumb on C sharp, because that's part of an F sharp minor chord. F sharp, A, C sharp. Right? So it could be like that. You've got a B minor chord, and your thumb could just come down on this D. F sharp, D. So it doesn't matter what order you do the notes inside of a chord, because it's still the same chord, right? Those notes make up that chord. And your left hand is playing the root of the chord, or at least it's playing the bass note that they want going down there. So you don't have to worry about stacking it or voicing it in a particular way with your right hand to make sure that the chord is like really recognizable, right? Because that's the only reason that you would need to play the root note with your thumb in your right hand is if your right hand's the only thing playing. And so because it's the lowest note in that stack, okay, I can hear that's a B minor chord. Whereas if I do this, it could get confused because that's the lowest note, or here, you know. So that's the only reason you'd need to do that. But with your left hand doing octaves or even just a single note on the root of the chord, or at least whatever bass note they want highlighted in that spot in the song, you don't have to worry about any of that with your right hand. So you're free to move through inversions. So maybe a more efficient way to get through this looks and sounds like this. D, F sharp minor, B minor, and then this is a B minor over A. Whenever there's a chord and then a slash and then another note, that note on the other side of the slash is telling, play this in the left hand, but play the chord in the right hand. Then it goes to a G chord, and my hand's already conveniently right here. Right? D, G, B, D. Right? And then D over F sharp. I just happen to be right here. And then it goes to an A chord over an E bass. And the easiest place to go would be right here. E, A, C sharp, E. And then the left hand jumps to an A bass. And then it goes to a G chord, and now maybe I'll voice it here because this is the efficient place to go. My thumb was basically there anyway. G, A, and again, I just went to the most efficient place, right? A, B minor, and then it goes to an E minor. And to me, the most efficient place to go would be to put my thumb on that B, E, G, B, right there. And then it goes to a D over A. And the most efficient thing would be to put my thumb on this A, D, F sharp, A. Love. And then A chord. Well, I'm already on an A with my thumb, so now it's just C sharp, E, A. Then to a D. And again, I'm already right here. So that's one way to think about it, is how efficiently can I move using inversions. Now that's tricky for a lot of people, and I want you to contemplate this as something. Because people come to my lessons and my work at all different levels of piano. And I always try to let them know, it's like, look, there's going to be a period of time where this information, where like it'll make logical sense, but it won't be the easiest and most natural thing for you to like sit down and execute it. You don't have the muscle memory. You don't have the practical experience yet. And so there may be a point in time where it's actually easier for you to jump around to root position in every chord. And the reason that might be is that you have learned your chords, right? But you're really not comfortable yet with inversions, and the inversions really trick you. Well, that's fine. If that's the easiest thing for you, that's the right thing for you right now. Doesn't mean it will be forever, but if you get to a point where you're a little more comfortable working around in inversions, then you create a lot of sonic flexibility for yourself. You can make the song a little different every time because you're simply moving to different inversions of the chord. And that is nice. It's not only fun to hear, it sounds nice, but it becomes a more efficient way to work, and it naturally moves your hand up and down the keyboard without you even really thinking about it. Because, as you're reaching for the most efficient place to go, your hand just kind of naturally goes here, and then suddenly you're kind of up in this neighborhood, but then at some point in time, the most efficient thing might be to move down a little, and then you find your hand kind of moving around the keyboard kind of smoothly and effortlessly. And so if I'm playing it at full speed and I'm not even thinking about it, it's probably going to look like this. This is just me seeing the chords and just kind of rolling with it and wherever my hand wants to go. I start the second verse and my hand's in a different place than it was when I started the first verse. No big deal. So let's just see where it goes. There's no right or wrong way to do it, right? That's the thing. You just have options. And so I don't want you to feel like you're doing it wrong if you need to stay with the root inversion of a chord. It's just where you are. It's just where you are. And if that's what the path of least resistance is, roll with it for now. The beautiful thing about this method, as opposed to and I'm not trashing reading notes on a page, it's a lovely skill. It's a lovely skill, but the problem that I've always had with it is you have to be at whatever level that was written for in order to even be able to do it, right? So if somebody wrote an arrangement that way, then no matter how much you want to play that, if you're not at the level of what the person who wrote the arrangement out for, you are locked out. You're going to have probably quite a long journey of practicing to get up to speed with it. Whereas every song has a point of access for every level of play when you're working from this system. I can do very elaborate things. I can do very simple things. The song has room for me to grow as a player, right? So let me give you some examples. I have other things that I can do for simple improv, like toggling, where I play part of the chord with the top part of my hand, toggle on my thumb. And I have things like, I call it pinky anchoring, where I can play like a little, so I'm right here on this chord and I can do a little lick where I play the same note with my pinky and play some other notes under it and kind of make a little harmony out of it. Okay, and just with using some of these things and my knowledge of chords, and I can be more deliberate about the inversions that I use, and I can choose to move around the piano, even if it's not the most efficient thing, but just because I think it'd be fun and sound interesting. So I can do something very elaborate with it if I want. I could be like, there's room. There's room for me to do lots of fun and expansive things with the song, but there's also room for that person who's just kind of getting chords under their hands, and they can just do a simple arpeggio. And they can move from root to root to root position of every chord, and they can have a beautiful sounding rendition. And that's what excited me when I first learned this all the years ago when I was at the beginning of my piano journey, was like, wow, I'm not locked out of any songs. Like every song that I want to play, there's a way for me to play it right now that sounds good and that's fun. And as I become a better player, I can continue to enhance the song. So the song is this living, breathing work of art that changes with my skill level. And every time I sit down, I have so many choices that I can make in the moment that the song is a fresh experience. And here's the thing, even if I played it kind of the same way, one performance to the next, it still feels fresh, not necessarily because I made different choices, just the presence of those choices. I'm in the moment and I could make a different choice and I chose that one. That is so different than reading notes on a page, which is, this is how it's going to be played, and it's how it's going to be played every single time. Okay? Again, wonderful skill, has its time and place. I've never been good at it, but I really admire people who are very good at it. I'm not trashing it. I'm just saying what I love about this particular method is the freshness and the aliveness of the song, and the fact that the song grows with you as a musician. You don't outgrow the song grows with your skills. And so I love that. And there's a whole lot else. I just want to show really quick, if you're somebody who you feel pretty good about your chords, but your hands, you don't do these big octave arpeggios very well, you can modify that by playing, I like to do like a, think of it like this, pinky, and then, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me play that a little slower so you can see. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, think of it like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that works on any inversion. And that works just fine. So you could do the whole thing without ever doing an octave arpeggio like that. Wise men say only fools worship, but I can't help falling in love with you. So see, there's just so many different ways to modify, and I don't have time to go into all of them in just this one song demonstration video. But and then for those of you that want to play the melody in the right hand, there's a way to do that with this as well. You learn the accompaniment style that we have here in the glide formula, and then I have an extra little formula called the flow formula, where you just lay that kind of lays the melody in, and you can suddenly like if you're playing accompaniment, it can grow with your skill set. And these are all things that I teach over at the Piano Man Approach, all of these different kinds of techniques that can be deployed to, because there's an endless number of ways to use these simple improv techniques, stack them on top of each other and do more sophisticated variations of them and all that, to actually make choices in the moment and string together performances like that. I didn't prepare that. I just kind of winged it. And I try not to over-prepare for these videos on purpose, because I want you to see how, when you know the tools that are in your, when you assemble the toolbox that we talk about over at the Piano Man Approach, with your basic rhythm patterns and all the different ways to modify it, and your simple chord-based improv, and your chords, you can make choices in the moment, and the spontaneity of the whole thing is kind of what's fun. So anyway, I'm not going to keep going on about that. Like I said, we just don't have time in one video to do all of that, but we go into a lot more depth and that kind of stuff in my courses and other things. So I would encourage you to please come check out the Piano Man Approach. If you got some value out of this video and you want some more stuff, we have free stuff over there that's really good, that hopefully would be of great benefit to you. We'd love to have you be part of the community. So pianomanaapproach.com. And even if you don't, I just really appreciate that you watched this video and hung on to the end. I hope that that this has given you something practical that you can walk away with and enhance your own piano playing, even if it's just a completely different way of looking at how to learn and play songs on this instrument. Because I got to tell you, nothing has made playing music more fun than learning this particular method. It's like it was a before and after moment in my life, and just having the basic knowledge necessary to start doing this opened a vault door, and all of a sudden the whole world of music was mine for the taking. It was like I had the whole catalog of songs ever recorded were my oyster, So anyway, I hope that resonates with you as well. So thank you very much, and I'm going to let that be enough for today. And let me know what songs you want me to take a look at in the future, and share this with anyone that you think might get some benefit from it. Give it a like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And come check out the Piano Man Approach and get some free stuff and be part of our fun little community of like-minded music enthusiasts over there, okay? Thank you so much. And remember my personal mantra as you go out and play your instrument. If you're not having fun when you're making music, you're doing it wrong. I'm Piano Man Steve Lungrin, and I'm signing out for now. Bye-bye.